a Gaiwan, Elise is using one, but this is a Gaiwan. This is actually porcelain.
That's a nice one.
So, so you can use this with any type of tea because it's not porous, so it's not gonna season. And Gai is lid and Wan is bowl. So it's a lidded bowl. So you got, I can use it. You got tea, water, and then you can just kind of use the lid as a strainer and pour it out into your pitcher or cup.
So you brew it in that ceramic bowl?
Yep.
Yeah, I just put my tea in here. I'm about to brew it now. And it's good because it's like big open space, and then when you use the gooseneck and you like pour into the corner of the bowl, it creates like a natural kind of like whirlpool, which helps brew the tea more efficiently. And then you just use the lid to hold back the leaf as you decant it. Pretty easy. It's the quintessential tea brewing vessel. There's lots of others, but yeah, that cast iron with ceramic on the inside is like more decorative. A lot of people in the tea world, if we have those types of things, it's for decoration.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the one is much better to use than a cast iron, and a cast iron is just to put on your shelf and show off.
Yeah. So the real cast iron ones, because the cast iron with like the ceramic on the inside is not a real cast iron. Like the real cast iron ones were used for actually heating the water, and they were fully, metal, and you could put those on the fire. But I think Teavana may have been the main culprit that like brought popularity to those things, and because if you go to Japan, like where those style of kettles come from, you don't see those there. You don't see ceramic, lined kettles in Japan. It's the real cast iron one. I used to have one. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it broke. It was heavy duty. It was like a real cast iron. What's that? I've taken it to festivals. Yeah, it's really heavy duty. We must have lost it at some point. We've gone to so many different like music festivals and things where we haul the wares and it goes away. But that one you could put actually on the fire. It would take forever to heat, but once it heated, because it had that thick cast iron, you could leave it off the fire for a good 2 hours and it would stay boiling hot. So that's good for like music festivals or where you're out in the wilderness and you don't have power accessible, because we have our power kettles now. You just plug it in and it's boiling within 5 minutes. But if you have like a really thin kettle and you're trying to heat it on the fire, constantly having to turn the fire on to get it hot.
Have you seen those like the gas powered stoves that people use out? Like I went to Israel once, and this guy had, like, we were sitting on some random hill, and he just whips out of his backpack like a stove, like a flame, and he had some kind, I think it was a cast iron, but he had some kind of pot, and he just brewed tea like out in the middle of nowhere. It was like a gas stove.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That when you don't have power available, you have to use either the butane or the propane gas tanks. So you can even use a little pocket rocket. That's usually what I take around with me. It's like the little metal thing that you put on the top of the propane or the butane. Those are butane tanks. The lighter ones. And you just put it on top of there, and that's the propane. The butane go inside the more Japanese style ones. It's like a hairspray can, it looks like, and you just put it in there and it lights it up.
That's what I use when I'm not using electricity. I've got like a catering stove.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little like single burner stove that uses a butane can.
That's so cool.
Hi, Jeanette.
Hello.
Hi, guys. It's my first time at Tea Talks.
What kind of tea are you drinking?
I actually was drinking matcha.
Oh, good for you.
Yes. That's my morning brew instead of coffee. I usually do like a hot matcha latte. But this is great. I didn't realize you actually talk about tea at tea times. I thought it was like just like a time to have tea and talk. But
that's what we're doing. We're literally just doing that.
Yeah, literally talking about tea, which is really interesting because I was inspired a couple of weeks ago. Sam, I don't know if you know this, but I have an RV, and I a couple weeks ago I sort of heard about this sort of pop-up impromptu dance party with these girls that have a trailer, and they're DJs, and they put it in the parking lot, and they just started spinning, and they promoted it. So a bunch of people showed up, and it was just like this impromptu dance party, and it reminded me of Burning Man. You know how you just sort of randomly stop. There's our car stops and plays their beats, and then everyone just starts dancing. But I want to do something a little more mellow. Like I want to bring my RV down and like have like pop-up tea parties, or like I don't know, pop-up talk time or something, and just offer like socially distanced tea little sets something, I don't know. So that's why I'm here today, because I just want to be inspired by you guys who are into tea.
We are super excited to inspire you to do that, because that
Great.
needs to happen.
Thank you. I love people who are into tea. I don't know like a ton about it, but I learn as I spend more time around people who know a lot about it. And I admire competence of any kind. And so when people just know their shit when it comes to tea, I'm just always amazed. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Anyway,
you should
thanks,
research this guy Giuseppe. He runs something called the Free Tea Bus. He's been doing it for over a decade now, completely full time. He just travels town to town, and he does free tea. I
might have seen a video that has
probably have
sent out like a video of him doing that, like posted video.
Yeah. He's definitely like the most famous of the free tea trucks, and I say free tea trucks because there are multiple projects. Okay. So you wouldn't be alone if you did something like this. You definitely wouldn't.
I saw that one time, and I was like, that's so cool. It's gifting, which I also believe in, and it's connection. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. Tea is that beautiful thing that allows for that. So I've moved into a new place with a backyard, so I've been having girlfriends over, and we've been doing tea, and so. Cool. Just a way to expand it.
Where are you based?
Santa Monica. I moved here from Culver, not far, but yeah, Santa Monica.
Cool.
Is everyone in the room in the LA area?
Oh, just you and I.
Oh, where are you guys?
I'm in Vegas.
Okay.
Not too far.
Cool.
I'm from Jersey.
Jersey. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's not here in Phoenix.
What, Phoenix?
Yeah, I'm in I'm Indiana.
Indiana. Wow. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's also my first time, so welcome.
Great.
You were living in Vietnam. Did you get to experience tea culture?
Oh, it's a huge coffee culture in Vietnam because of the French influence. So there's cafes everywhere, like it's spelled different. It's CAPHE, cafe. It took me a while to realize. I'm like, oh, cafe, yeah. And they coffee shops are like bars. Everyone just goes there all day and all night, to have coffee, and it's a huge coffee culture out there. So tea is actually not as big in Vietnam as it is in China and things. Yeah, it's.
I had some tea from Vietnam a few weeks ago. It was a green tea that was really similar to Yokuro. It was really thin and tasted kind of like grass, but it was really strong. I remember thinking I was surprised because I didn't even know that there were Vietnamese tea farmers until I tried this tea, which was delicious.
There's a lot of tea.
I brought some tea back for someone. Yeah, jasmine, little balls of jasmine tea, the ones that open up the flowers.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, Vietnam grows a lot of tea. Vietnam actually grows even old tea trees, like the ancient tea trees. But unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of quality processing there, so the tea's not very good and has very high, wonky energy. Actually, Jeremy, we were tasting some teas from Vietnam in Chicago, remember? And I was telling you, I was like, these teas could actually be good because you could tell these guys had invested money into studying tea, into understanding, you know, these teas from China go for a higher price, these teas from Japan goes for a higher price. So they were trying to emulate these famous high-valued teas, and they looked great. Like the leaf looked great, and then the brewed liquor looked great too. But once you drank it, and even the flavor profile was like interesting. It was like, wow, this is actually, you know, good processing. But the leaf itself had so much energy, and the tea master or whoever was making that tea was looking at more of the superficial characters of the tea, the aroma and the appearance, but not understanding that there is a whole lot of qi, there's a whole lot of power and energy in those tea leaves that you kind of have to,
I'll tell you, that Vietnamese tea that you served during the tasting,
yeah.
I'll never forget that. That was a really weird tea because it was the strangest tea because it felt like the tea was putting my tongue in a vice. Like it was trying to be too much. Like it was just, it's like it was kind of manufactured to be every type of flavor and every type of profile. And it just was so weird.
Yeah, I was actually grateful that I had that tea because I took a sample from those guys and I used it in my class to show what I was talking about. And it was really interesting to parallel the good teas. You know, I was talking about this is a good expensive tea and there's tea chi in it, we're feeling it, but we're also mellowed and we're feeling balanced versus let's drink this tea. And you can see, like, where, like you said, Jeremy, that was a good way you put it, that, like, it pretty much had just been manufactured, like, to be everything they wanted it to be without, you know, working on that chi, wonky chi, that's what I call it.
So what do they have to do different? They have to sing for the trees more?
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. They just have to have gung fu, you know? Obviously, there was not gung fu there.
Okay. So, I mean, maybe it's just a matter of practice and, like, learning that it sounds like, yeah, it needs to settle down. I definitely remember when I was first learning to make tea. And it's like, like all the stuff. Like, and it definitely gets better when you just, like, chill the fuck out of it.
Yeah. But it takes longer, too. You know, so these guys that were, I mean, obviously these guys are in a rush to make some business. If they had, you know, paid to go from Vietnam to Chicago to show their brand new teas into the American market, you know,
were they Vietnamese?
Yeah, they were Vietnamese. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's as you're speaking about it, I just, you know, by living there, I learned the Vietnamese people, and I was like, yeah, that sounds very Vietnamese to me. They're very business oriented, like go build.
Yeah.
And just nonstoply, and they just want to do it fast and furious kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they have all the necessary building blocks, but sometimes, they'll just like throw it all in there.
Yeah, you just got sometimes you just gotta take a breath and slow
down. They're very engineering, like just in general as people.
Yeah.
So
well, some people are into that energy though in their tea, aren't they? I mean, the Chavos are out there, like there's a lot of people out there like speaking to just like get high off of wild tea energy.
Yeah, that's the Pusaders. That was the term that Sohan had coined. Pusaders.
That's cool.
And it's dangerous. Actually, so you know Ray from Grass People Trees, she launched a series called Stop Being sustainable, kind of a provocative kind of take. You know, we're not trying to say we don't want to be sustainable. We're just saying it's impossible to be sustainable at this point. Like, there's no turning back. So instead of, you know, coining these kind of artificial terms that won't deliver what we're asking for, such as sustainability or organic or whatever, you know, really having the conversations. But anyway, we were talking about this, and I completely lost my track of mind of what were you saying, Sam, right before?
We were talking about
Crusaders.
Oh, the Crusaders. Oh, yeah. Okay, so she wanted to talk about kind of the like, what are relatable consequences of appropriation, of colonization of someone else's culture, because obviously, like, we talk about, you know, someone making business off of somebody else's culture, and the public is not moved by that because it's not relatable. But if you start talking about how not being mindful of how we're essentially playing around with medicines, we're essentially, you know, by being a seller of tea. And so, you know, if you are irresponsibly sourcing tea that is not serving its purpose in medicine. So like in traditional Chinese medicine, tea serves the purpose of balancing your qi. Everything should be in balance. Everything should be just like calming you and putting you into balance versus like throwing you, you know, high into the clouds. I mean, we have other substances for that. That's not for tea. And how that can actually be dangerous to someone's health by doing that. And other products too, like she was talking about reishi mushrooms. It like just really gets under her skin to see how these types of products have become so popular as like daily consumables, and not understanding that we're actually, like, as vendors of these products, we're actually dosing our customers. And if we're not respectful of those cultures and understanding that something like reishi mushroom is meant to be a reactive medicine that's taken as a soup, not as, you know, a tea and consumed daily, we could actually be putting people's health in harm's way.
Are some, I guess, I mean, you're talking about herbal teas a little bit now, right? And with like reishi mushrooms, are there particular mushrooms or herbs that are surprisingly powerful, but also just like sold over the counter that could be an issue like that, where like you just buy something and you think it'll taste good, and then all of a sudden you're in a different state of mind that you didn't expect to.
It's possible, yeah.
Kava, I would think, definitely falls into that category.
Big time. Especially now that there's like a whole party vibe around kava. Like, that is not kava at all. Like, and that's actually very dangerous, because if people are consuming alcohol and then consuming kava, they can actually really like kill themselves, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, kava's that I think I read about. It's like a Micronesian plant that they use ceremonially, and I've had it before. You get like really, really calm, right?
you get numb.
I make blends with it, and I really like it. But it's one of those things that I also like don't serve somebody without letting them know like what it is and what kind of effects. And it's like, I'm not going to serve this to you if you're driving. I treat it like I'm serving somebody a cup of alcohol.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, you can, generally if I'm approaching a new herb or anything, I won't blend it. I'll just like drink it straight to see what does this feel like. And I remember like when I was first, so we first started liking kava because the yogi tea bags for calming that you get at Ralph's say kava, and Hannah says that it tastes like Christmas in a cup. So the first time we had like real kava was out at LIB, and the drink was totally gross. But it makes your face go numb.
Oh.
Everything.
And that was an experience.
Sounds
So like, yeah, when I first got like a big bag of kava and like put it in my gaiwan and brewed it up real strong, it's like really dissociated.
Mhm.
that if you drink if you drink a couple cups this size and it's strong, your whole face is gonna go numb and you're gonna feel really out of it.
Wow.
And they sell it. It's not something that like that places tend to stock, like to buy just straight up loose leaf kava. Actually, I think it's a root, so shredded or whatever, however processed.
Yeah.
But I mean, I buy it through Star West, and it definitely like can mess you up. I think ashwagandha is probably one that falls into a similar boat for me. That like when I was first kind of getting to know it, I found it to be really, really potent in like I found the headspace to be really, really different from just sober.
Way of describing it.
State altering.
Yeah.
Is it like a stimulant, or is it more like a sedative, or is it?
Ashwagandha is definitely much more of a stimulant. Kava is much more of a sedative.
Right. So the combination is balanced.
I don't think I've tried it.
Oh.
I don't know. If you're looking for balance, you should just drink tea.
Right.
The answer is always the simplest.
Yeah, stick with one plant, put the leaves in the cup, put some water in.
I don't know. I take care of all this issue just by consuming products of my own culture of medicines that I know myself, that I grew up on, such as beautiful apple fritters like this one here. I cannot overdose on this. I'm going to be just fine. So, yeah, it's interesting to talk about it from this perspective, because a lot of times when we talk about, and we've been talking about it a lot, especially here in Tea Talks, about colonization, and I feel like kind of turning the conversation to talk about how it's relatable to the consumers of the product could be useful. So I think, yeah, it's good for us to talk about the safety of consuming these products from other cultures that we just don't know, and so we should research. And in doing that research, we'll do the work in respecting those cultures and not colonizing them.
Yeah, regulation can be pretty loose around bee-related substances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I have definitely had enough tea in an evening that I wouldn't get behind a vehicle and drive. Like, I've been so tea drunk that I wouldn't have felt comfortable doing that, for sure. And I think there's probably a number of other herbs that it's over the counter and it's just tea, so why not? But it's really potent.
But Sam, have you ever felt that tea drunk lasts longer than, like, minus any other substances that may be involved? Like, if it's just tea, has that feeling of like, oh, I can't drink anymore, I just got to sit here for a second and you know, center myself, has that time taken longer than 10-15 minutes until you feel good that you can drive again? Because I always feel that, like, yeah, if I get tea drunk, it's like, oh, just chill out for a couple of minutes and you'll rebalance. Versus,
yeah, maybe a half hour and a glass of cold water or something is what it took. Or more so food.
Food always helps.
More than anything, it was food.
That's why I have this apple fritter here.
That's why.
I'm drinking some strong tea. I actually got a stomach ache last week from tea. And that's the second time it's happened to me, because I didn't have food there. It was like first thing in the morning, I woke up, I didn't have coffee, and so I decided to do matcha, did a big bowl of matcha. And I was like, whoa, I'm sick. How I could have just like simply eaten a cracker or like a banana and been fine, but I didn't have anything. And so I got sick, and that had happened one other time, drinking tea first thing in the morning with Scott from Yunnan Sourcing. And yeah, so sometimes tea, especially green teas or like high energy shang pu'ers, can be a little rough on the stomach. You just need something to eat. But like alcohol or like psychedelic mushrooms, if you like get drunk or, you know, get intoxicated from that, sometimes like you're uncomfortable for like 2-3 hours until you feel like, okay, now I can stand up or now I can talk to people. And now, but with tea, you know, I feel like this needs a couple of minutes.
It's definitely purple. I think we're talking about the negative aspects of tea. What are like the best? What are the highest positive aspects?
I mean, tea as a way of life has taken my life down a path that I never thought it was going to go down, that I couldn't have envisioned it going down. And I couldn't be happier with the direction that it's going, and look forward to everything that tea will continue to guide me towards.
What do you mean as a way of life? Like, are you like drinking every day? Is that, or just like the process of systematizing tea drinking?
Man.
Those are good questions.
Yeah. So the way of tea, like,
Yeah.
so it started. What took me from making tea in a cast iron pot to making tea in this like gong fu cha style was meeting Sohan at a music festival, and I was instantly drawn like to the tactile nature of it, and it quickly, like, I saw it as like a different form of yoga. That the mindful nature, the immediacy of it telling you when you stop paying attention, because you burn yourself, you spill the water, the tea tastes like crap because you just weren't you weren't like fully present with the process. That like sucked me in. And then the aspect of like sitting and having tea in this way with my wife instead of sitting and watching Netflix, and the way that like opened up channels of communications in our relationship, that like the only way that I can the only way that I can explain that is like it's the way of this like peaceful tea of just kind of like being calm and being present, that tea really does for me.
What I get the sense of as you're talking is mindfulness, right?
Yeah, it's a gateway to mindfulness.
Yeah, with immediate feedback on when you're not being mindful.
Right.
This is amazing. that's beautiful.
And then when you layer in, so it wasn't long after that I met Elise and really kind of started to layer in more consciousness around sourcing and supply chains, and like where does this come from and how is it prepared. And it's like I look at that level of mindfulness and care that I put into tea, and I want to put that level into everything. That it's like we have there's Gong Fu Cha, so Gong Fu tea, excellence, mastery in preparing tea. And then Elise and I always joke, it should be Gong Fu everything.
What does Gong Fu mean?
Gong Fu is the practice of mastery.
Okay.
Or practice of skill, of developing skill. Elise, help me out.
No, I think it just literally translates to do with great skill, but it means a lot more than just that. I mean, Sam described it perfectly well in his talk there. It's an intentional mindset, For me, it's just mindfulness. It's the intention of mindfulness, the intention of doing the best job you can with the resources that are available. And that last line on it, with the resources available to you, is really important as far as empowering even beginners to understand that Gung Fu is something accessible to everyone, no matter your level of practice and skill. If you're brand new to something, you can still have a good intention of doing the best you can. So, I think that's really important too, because I think that there's a level of inaccessibility to Gung Fu Cha, especially from kind of like the egocentric masculine energy that can make Gung Fu Cha inaccessible, which is bullshit. Like, having a good mindful mentality in life is accessible to every single human being. We all have that capability, So, just because I have this setup, I'm like literally sitting in a whole like tea room and I have like hundreds of tea wares and all these great things. That's just my resources. Someone that's like first day, Brett, you are going to start practicing Gung Fu Cha today. We can equally be capable of practicing that Gung Fu, just based off of what resources we have. And you can start with that cast iron teapot if you'd like to. Or you can, go in any direction you want to pursue, but just having that intention of mindfulness is all that you need.
That's really great. What do you guys think about tea ceremonies, like the silent tea ceremonies?
Okay, so ceremony exists. Ceremony is a real thing. Ceremony is an interesting word because it could mean so much, and yet its definition has been lost in tea specifically. So like people come into my space, or they may see what I'm doing here and call it a ceremony. This is absolutely not a ceremony. I'm not practicing ceremony. And if I have the knowledge of knowing that if I were to call this a ceremony, I would be completely disrespecting somebody that does practice a ceremony. And so I think that's really important to define that. And if you are going to practice a ceremony, just like if you're going to start selling reishi mushroom or kava, you need to know the responsibilities that you're entering into, those cultures that you're entering into, and do them as respectfully as possible. So this is a big conversation, just because in the LA area, in your area, there's a lot of tea ceremony going on. The kind of running joke is the Topanga tea ceremony, because there's actually an article in the New York Times about that. And if you're friends with any of those people, like,
but I know what you mean by that. I haven't been to it. I mean, I saw a Chinese monk do it at the burn under the man, and that I was mesmerized. I was completely mesmerized.
Was that the red guy?
The red guy? What do you mean by, is that his name? Does someone go by the red guy?
What's his name? I forget his name. He's actually Japanese, but he wears all red and he sits under a red umbrella and he does a mantra ceremony.
No, he was in like the typical orange, like
interesting
attire, and it was like major sandstorm, so it was like amazing, like backdrop with him and one person. He was doing it for one person, and he was offering it to anyone who wanted to do it with him.
Oh, cool!
And it just was so mindful, like every movement.
Yeah. So that was
very deliberate.
That was probably a ceremony, and that's the definition of ceremony: is when you're performing something that has already been assigned, either by yourself or by somebody else, some lineage of passing along that process. And each step of that process has some type of significance, some type of reverence. That defines a ceremony. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the only way I've participated in it. I have 3 different ceremonies, 3 different ways of doing it, but they were very deliberate in every way that they moved their hands, the cup, the way they poured it, everything. And I just found it really interesting. I was like, put me in a different space altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know, I was wondering, tea connoisseurs, what do you think of tea ceremony? And is it separate? Is it included? Is it something very different?
It's included with the art of tea, but it's separate in that like I'm not doing it here, and claiming that I'm doing it here is actually very disrespectful, you know, and appropriating someone else's culture. Now, if you wanted to create a ceremony, like let's say I wanted to create my whole like, you know, ceremony and way of doing something in practice that I want to share with others, that if I have students and I was to create a ceremony, and even if that ceremony had really silly steps to it, as long as those steps had some type of significance to them, some connection to that reverence and to that process and that lineage, then yeah, I could call it a ceremony and it wouldn't be disrespectful, but that's a lot of work to do. You know, it's
Yeah, I guess my question isn't so much about you doing ceremony. It's more about like the idea of the tea ceremonies. Like, where does that fit into the tea culture? Like,
I think the term itself gets thrown around a lot.
okay.
And it gets thrown around a lot because it's.
So there's no definition.
I think it's really hip sounding, and like we've had tea together at Symposium, right?
Right.
So I've done that I actually met Brian when I set up a tea lounge at a magazine launch party.
Oh, cool.
And people would walk in and be like, "Oh, is this where the tea ceremony is?"
Oh, right.
And it's like, no, this isn't a ceremony. We're just hanging out drinking tea.
Yeah. Which is the way I see it.
Right. It's like, and people see the artistic nature and the artistic expression that I put into it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I think the only way that most people know to respond to that is to call it a ceremony.
I see.
But when you have ancient lineages in Japan with tomes of writing about why you make the tea this way on this day with this art and this snack and like all that sort of stuff, it feels really disrespectful to me if I were to call it a ceremony. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, that's totally understandable, because the 3 ceremonies that I did attend were just, I mean, it was clearly, if I was to ever do something like that, they studied for years before being able to do it and before feeling like they could do it. And I was like, I knew just by watching them that it would take me a very long time just to learn how to do what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
It was a very different experience than tea lounge or tea hanging out.
Yeah. I've had people argue with me and tell me that what I am doing is a ceremony.
And you're a tea master. You're a tea master doing a tea ceremony, and you can't convince me otherwise.
I'm here to tell you what you're doing. Right? Yeah. No, I understand that. I understand, especially in LA, how everyone wants to call something under this like umbrella thing, and they've probably never even seen a tea ceremony. You know.
Yeah, and it makes it sound important and special.
Right.
And it's not that what I'm doing isn't important or special, but it's just calling it a ceremony feels disingenuous to well put together, like planned out ceremonies.
For sure. It's night and day in my like just observer position. Just as an observer, it's night and day. It's like, no, here we're connecting, we're collaborating. And then a tea ceremony, your energy is completely just taken on this very beautiful ride. It's amazing. Well, I was just curious because I love tea, I admire it, but I don't think I know enough about it and involved enough to know all the different like subcultures of tea, you know. So
well, you are probably like 85% ahead of the curve of everybody else. Just the fact that you were able to intuitively decipher between ceremony and service like puts you leaps and bounds ahead of other people as they're trying to wrap their head around tea ceremony. I mean, there are people that are like been in the industry for decades and have been selling tea and holding that space for so long and still haven't deciphered that for themselves.
I mean, the industry has propagated tea ceremony because it sells.
I see. Yeah. Merchandise, you mean? Buy this for your tea ceremony
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's become a marketing word.
Yeah, that's a shame because I felt really in each tea ceremony they were different styles of tea ceremony, but it's just so impressive, you know. One time, in particular, there was absolutely no one at the table other than the person doing pouring the tea that had any experience with tea ceremony. And there was probably, we were a weekly group, we met every week, and there were probably, I don't know, 10 or so of us. So it was a good number of people. And the energy was really, they're all entrepreneurs. So they're just like, our energy is like, I could feel it's just, you know, we're talking, and then he's like, okay, we're going to start. And he was one of us, like, but he took on a different mantle at that moment. And then he was just so intentional about every move. And I could feel everyone's energy was like up here. And then just by the end of the ceremony, we were just like, I mean, it was amazing. I was so amazed. And some of these people just aren't into meditation or anything like that, or yoga. You know, they're just very like build business, and everybody's energy was just so peaceful by the end of it. And I was mesmerized. I was just like, wow, and he said he attended this tea ceremony way of doing things for a long time before he felt competent enough to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just really, really amazing to see the effect it had on everyone at the table. I was like, wow, that's powerful. Not a word spoken, but just everyone's energy just was completely in alignment. Like I used to be, I've done a lot of sports, but one of the most amazing sports was crew, and you know, you're all rowing, and if you're off by 1 inch, the whole boat's off. So it's like, it's the most amazing sport because you just had to be so perfect. Well, the energetic level of the group, like everybody was here, someone was here, and then by the end, we were just perfectly toned. There's like one tone of vibration. We were like all in the same vibe. It was amazing. So I was just like, wow, that's amazing that you could do that with not a single word spoken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, but there's so many facets of tea. I love when, like, I'm sure you guys know how to do it. It's like at what heat to do and for how long, and this color versus this flavor. I mean, all of that's amazing too.
Most of it is there's definitely some that you can like read and learn in books. That's kind of there are quote unquote standards.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, Ray tells me that like you should be able to pour boiling water on any tea. And if the tea can't stand up to boiling water, then it's not good tea. And I mean, I definitely see the green tea button on the kettle that heats it to 175. And I have green teas that I pour 212 degree water on, and they're fantastic.
Oh, okay.
So like so much of that's where the practice is.
Yeah.
And that's where you've got this tea. You're going to be mindful about the temperature of the water, the size of the brewing vessel, the steep time. You're going to like be mindful of all of these parameters.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be mindful of the effects. And then the next time you do it, it's going to be a little different.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be mindful of the effects. And over time, you just kind of learn how you learn the tea. And you learn specific leaves, and like this bag of tea behaves this way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And to me, that's where it gets to be really fun, because then you wake up in the morning, you're like, how do I feel? And it's like all of a sudden you start describing your feelings based on the tea that you're going to drink.
Sam, I think you need to edit your kettle to add the word bad to all of the green, white, oolong, and then on the black tea setting, just put good tea. Like.
Right.
Well, whenever I serve tea, or I guess, you know, when I serve tea to people who their only experience was a tea bag and a mug and a kettle and that's it. So, you know, when I bring out the pots and the gaiwans and 15 different types of teas and everything, put it in front of them, they instinctively think, how do I do it? Like, okay, what temperature, how long? And that's how they were taught. And the easiest thing, the way I put them in the right mindset is just to remind them, I said, you have to think about tea is play. This is play. Because eventually it's going to become your own thing. I can give you general guidelines, like try this temperature for this time, and this is typically what you would expect. But you do, like, I know people that buy a particular type of black tea from me because they can brew it for 8 minutes and make it unbearably bitter. That's the way they like it. But that's time and trial and error. But I said, this is fun. This is fun. Tea is play. Don't overthink it. Just start doing it. And like Sam said, eventually you figure out like a routine or what you like the most on what day, during what season. And, you know, it takes a while, but you'll get there.
It's play. I like that.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's nice.
wise.
It's like being in the moment.
Yeah.
Now, being in the now. So, yeah.
That's
I
why I
think
always.
one of the really like interesting and powerful experiences that I had that I don't even necessarily know if I realized it like in the moment and at the time. One of the people that I was like first learning how to make or to learning about tea from. I hadn't seen her in a few years, and I ran into her at Burning Man, and it was my first time in Burning Man, and I met up with her, and it was like late at night, and it was like just the two of us, and we were gonna sit and have some tea, and I went and when I looked in the box of the teas and stuff that she had, I picked one that was like one of the first teas that I remember she and I having ever when I was like first starting. And I made it, and her response was that it tastes different when I make it. And this is a tea that this woman has probably had pounds of. And she's like, yeah, it tastes different the way you make it.
Interesting.
And it's like, I don't know what I did differently from anybody else, but something in the way that I prepared it, she picked up on as different from the way that she would make it or the way that anybody else would make it. And I respect her opinion, and I'm sure she's had that tea prepared by people with far more experience and skill than I.
There are like idiosyncrasies in the way that you brew tea because of your own preferences, probably, that like turn into a new flavor, something like that.
Yeah, it could be that, like, so depending on how hot the water is and how long you steep it and how many times you've steeped it, different flavor notes are going to come out at different times. So if your first steep is longer or something like that, like you could definitely like change. When I very much look at tea like telling a story, that if we're going to sit and we're going to drink 5 or 6 or 10 steeps of a certain tea, you can really kind of learn the arcs of it. So there are certain teas that I know, like I like the first 2 steeps on them to be really quick, and then the third one I like to be really long. And it's like I've just kind of figured it out because that's the way that I like it.
Right.
And nobody's gonna make that tea the same way that I would.
Sam, let's just be honest. Your gung fu tastes awesome.
It's your gung fu.
Yeah.
It's your gung fu.
Yeah.
Let's just call it. Hey guys, since I've been drinking tea, I'm gonna have to use the rest of it, but I'm also gonna have to head out. And before I go, I just want to thank you again for sharing your gung fu. And then also, Elise, What was the name? I'm gonna of the guy you said.
Giuseppe in the free T bus. The free
G-
T bus.
how do you-
GUISSEPPE. I don't know. I forget how to spell
Okay.
it. If you just look up
I
the
can-
free T bus,
And okay,
the free T
The
bus. I think he
free-
has even. Well, he's on social media. You can find him. He's kind of on a
Yeah.
hiatus right now because of COVID, but he.
Oh, right,
he has, you can get in. I can put you in contact with him actually if that's what you're looking for.
yeah, that'd be awesome if you, so you know him.
I know him personally. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a cool
Yeah,
guy.
that'd be great just to get some feedback on like his experience or whatever, and I'll look him up on YouTube or something.
Yeah, there's tons of videos. Lots of people have met him. I
Invite him
he's-
here
Yeah,
Where
he
does he
needs to come
live?
here.
Where does he live?
in the
Or-
T-bus.
In the T-bus. But where does the T-bus live?
The T-bus is taking a break right now. I think it's somewhere up in the Pacific Northwest. I think that's his like original home base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, at least getting some. Yeah, invite him to the virtual tea party.
Yeah, we'll invite him here. Yeah, I need to do that. I can't believe I haven't thought about that. I'm sure he would love to connect with some tea friends.
You're right. Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
I'll see you at another time. It's every Thursday, right?
Every
Yeah.
Thursday.
Every Thursday. Okay. All right, guys. Bye.
All right.
I gotta call in like 10 minutes, so I should probably go as well. Thank you so much for the time spent talking to me and drinking tea. I had a pleasant experience, and I'll definitely try and come back soon.
Yeah, we'll see you again, Brett. Thank you so much for asking
Mhm.
questions.
Nice meeting you guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
All right. We don't have any novice questions to answer anymore. What are we going to talk about?
I was like, yeah. There's no natural flow to this.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I was relying on that crutch of having Brett and his questions. Yeah.
It's all good. I appreciated having people coming into the space.
Yeah, that's good. We
Like-
need more. We need more. I'm trying to build up the Twitch community because I've kind of converted my media consumption on my computer to Twitch now, just because there's so much great content being streamed like all the time now.
Yeah.
It's really cool, like DJs and musicians, and I don't really watch the video games, but like the other stuff that's been coming up, and now like live art is becoming another thing, and there's this couple in Korea. The guy kind of has mannerisms and behaviors like Alfredo from Taiwan, and so I just like crack up because all they do is this couple in Korea, and all they do is just like go places and like eat food, and like they're not even like explaining what they're doing. They're just doing it, and they just have their camera set up somewhere, and then they'll get on their scooter and they just drive around town and like pet dogs and then go sit, and it's just like so mundane. But it's interesting how like they have thousands and thousands of viewers that like throw money to them too. They'll be like, hey, here's $3, go buy this street food, we want to watch you eat it, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like, not that I'm wanting like that mentality to come, you know, into this community, but I think that there are people that are like hungry for engagement, hungry for you know, connection and learning new things and learning new experiences. So
Do you stream in the social eating category?
I don't. Should I?
I don't know. I wouldn't. What category do you stream in?
Just to the either the podcast or the just chatting. But I guess if there was like a food focused one, I'd go into that category, especially if
There's a social eating category
Yeah.
where it's somebody sitting there. It's generally somebody sitting there eating their dinner
and you just watch
and chatting with whoever's in chat.
Yeah, that's kind of what I saw in this Korean couple. I was like, yeah, this is cool, you know. And then people are paying them, like, you know, go buy yourself a gin and tonic. Here's, you know, $5. Go buy one. That's so cool,
Yeah.
but weird.
I knew someone that she had this like cooking show, just like her in her kitchen, and she streamed almost like exclusively through Twitch. she got ridiculed. She said the feedback she got was just the nastiest thing you'll ever read, because it's still polarized. Like, oh, this is only for video games. This is only for gamers. So anytime someone tried to do something other than gaming, she said she got blowback from everybody. She was like flamed nonstop. But she was great. She couldn't care less
Is
at
she
all.
still doing it?
No.
Oh.
She actually moved out of state. So she was here, and the worst part was is that I met her a week before she moved,
Mm. Yeah, you guys could
because
have done
like I was
something.
serving her tea, and she was loving this, and she was like, "Oh, this would be great for my stream," but she's now out of town, out of state.
Oh.
So I was just about, but she was telling me about how Twitch, but this was, actually this was only a year ago.
I think Twitch is totally different now since pandemic. Everybody's staying in. Like every major musician, every major record label, every major, celebrity is having a Twitch channel now, and so I think that's kind of changing the nature of the audience and what people are expecting from the platform.
Yeah, I haven't been on Twitch for a while, but I know people who obsessively watch video games on Twitch, like nonstop.
About 5-6 years ago, maybe even a little more now, I almost applied for an office manager job at Twitch.
Yeah.
And it was like 6 months later, they got bought by Amazon. And like now look what it's turned into.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So glad I didn't do that, but still pretty amazing.
I remember what Twitch used to be. It was remember Justin TV?
Yeah, Justin TV. Oh my god,
Justin TV was fantastic, and their whole thing was that they were categorizing these TV streaming channels, and they started. Video games became a category, and then they got to the point where like 80% of their traffic went to video game streams. So they rebranded themselves and rebuilt the whole company as Twitch,
right?
And just
video game streams.
Yeah, and did that exclusively. But I remember Justin TV. It was fantastic, but that was where Twitch came from, because they were like the two guys who started it. They were kind of shocked. It got to the point where people were watching video games more than they were playing them, and they couldn't understand that. Like they didn't get it.
Oh man, it's so for me it was so simple that like my game was StarCraft 2.
Okay.
And the game is so freaking hard to play well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting to watch being played like at the highest level. It's more fun to watch it be played really well than it is to be frustrated and struggle to be bad.
Oh yeah.
That like I got more pleasure out of watching people play it really, really well than it was just frustrating and I was stuck.
Yeah. Like I still watch League of Legends, like the tournaments. I can't play that game. I mean, I used to. The community was so toxic.
Oh yeah,
it was insane. Like basically, if you go on by yourself, you have to be really prepared to sit through a lot of ridicule if you make mistakes. But it was no fun. It was interesting because like I didn't want to play the game anymore, but I still really like watching it. And I think that's the last one that I know someone doesn't like video games, doesn't play video games. But he obsessively watches speedruns. That's all that he loves. He just loves talking about speedruns. Did you see the guy just broke the Super Mario Brothers speed run? Did you hear this guy broke this speed run? Like you you know, you he don't even like video games, but that's his thing. He goes on Twitch and he watches people sort of live stream speedruns. So I guess maybe there's something for everybody on Twitch, but I haven't. It makes sense now that it's become a little bit more, I guess, opened up for more people.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
so.
think it's been the platform has never really like discriminated, but that doesn't mean that the community and the viewer numbers there weren't only interested in a very narrow frame. And the platform is excellent and easy to use, that when COVID hit and everybody was looking for something like that, which was more about broadcasting than Zoom is about connecting, whereas Twitch is about being able to broadcast in HD with good audio quality.
Mm-hmm.
That's where people went and started sharing links, and all of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of people watching Twitch streams that never would have watched a Twitch stream before.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden musicians are driving traffic to Twitch because it's the best place that you can stream live audio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like anywhere else that you try and stream live audio, you're going to not get as good of quality.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So DJs went there immediately
Yeah.
because the audio
whose
quality on Zoom sucks.
stream I watched yesterday that blew my mind, and I was just like obsessed with it. And it's like, that's totally not my style. I typically wouldn't even be interested in that kind of culture. But Timberland, the music producer, the rapper,
Mm-hmm.
he has a channel, and he goes, I don't know how often he does it, but he was doing it yesterday for 2 hours, and it's called Timberland's Beat Club. And he's like developed this huge following on Twitch, and they all submit music to him. And then him and his buddy, you know, they just got a simple, you know, cam set up to them, and he's got his whole, you know, production tools in front of him, but he's not producing music, but if he wants to, he can. And they just listen to these demo tapes, like hundreds of them, and all of the followers are like in the chats. And he just like rips them. He's like Simon Cowell, you know, like either liking them or hating them and talking shit to them, and like really ultimately he's just like trying to motivate everybody to produce more and to create more, and then come back next week and we're gonna go over it again. I just thought that was so cool. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what this like whole movement like really manifests into, where like celebrities and creators can have like a much more interactive connection with their followers than, you know, oh, here's my tour, like just come watch me perform.
Deadmau5 has a long history of streaming his production sessions,
Oh, cool.
where he's not really interacting with chat a ton. He's just like live streaming his working sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sit there and watch him tweak a kick drum for 10 minutes.
Yeah. My buddy Spacey, he just did that. He had a 4-hour stream where he produced a song and then made a music video for it. And
Nice.
you just watch the whole process. So he had his screen share with his little camera, and you were just there with him while he was doing it, and just like listening to the same beats over and over again as he like mastered it and put it all together. Yeah, that's cool too. And I think like live art, a friend on Facebook had said, oh, is that a thing? And I'm like, make it a thing. Just make the channel and just start doing it, and like every day make it better. Even if you have 0 viewers, just every day make it better. And before you know it, you know, you can have subscribers and people that are sending you money, you know, instead of, you know, feeling like they're, you know, a lot of girls right now are feeling like the only way to monetize art is through, you know, selling sex through, OnlyFans is like the main platform. I'm like seeing friends just casually post to their personal social media about their OnlyFans, and it's like that's not the only thing, you know. Like people have a lot to offer, and there is an audience for it. And you know, sex is not the only thing that sells. Like your lifestyle and your art can also support you as well. So. Jeremy, how's your OnlyFans coming along?
Better after the haircut.
Jeremy has an OnlyFans for his beard.
A live stream of watch Jeremy's beard grow. I'll just get like a GoPro camera, set it up.
Yeah, and it's just set up right here, just right here. You know, that's the only view you got.
A 24-hour live stream.
Can we just put 2 googly eyes in it?
Oh yeah, I'm sure we could do a lot of things with it.
And then when you talk, the googly eyes.
Oh yes. Well, I'll do that for next Thursday. I do know. In Christmas, I really didn't have. It wasn't long enough, but they actually sold like little miniature strings of light, like Christmas lights.
Like beard lights.
Yeah, beard lights that you can just wrap in and out.
Yeah. You're definitely gonna have to do that this year, and the glitter and all of that. You know.
The glitter.
Get some tinsel in there.
Can you even buy tinsel anymore? I love tinsel, and you can't find it anymore.
I don't know. Go to the dollar store. They always have shit like that. I weaved tinsel into my hair 1 year. That was fun.
Or it'll be great. I'll have a live stream on Twitch of me cutting aluminum foil.
Oh,
They're
no.
creating tinsel for my beard.
Oh my god, you would probably find the weirdest kinks if you were to start doing that.
Just get like a sheet of aluminum foil and a pizza slicer. Slowly.
Make sure you put a microphone right next to it for all the ASMR fans.
I'm gonna mute that shit. My teeth are really sensitive to like metal on metal sounds. I'd have to mute that. I wouldn't. Oh my god. Ugh. The sound of like cutting foil really it gets to me. It's sensitive, you know. My teeth hurt. But that'd be cool.
That'll be it. But, you know, it might take years, so we'll figure out what cutting device and what foil is best used for food utensil.
I fully support this idea. I'm thinking about it. You know, like that's what you got to do these days. Just like find a unique niche and then just be consistent on it. You know.
Yeah.
My tea videos on Twitch haven't blown up just yet, but I'm working on it. I've realized it's a community type of a thing, so I've got to support the community first, and then it'll support us back. So I've been spending a lot of time like chatting on other people's streams and trying to engage with them, and
because then they can host your stream, and then their viewers see your channel.
Yeah, they could do that. They could raid. Or just talk about me. Today on Spacey's stream, you know, I was chatting with him and he was talking about me and telling people watching, oh, you should go follow T-Let. And everybody's like, what do you stream? And I'm like, well, I stream tea parties. And they're like, what the heck? I'm like, literally, it's tea parties.
People don't realize how awesome the tea party is until they go.
Yeah. Yesterday, I had somebody on Twitch watching my Constitution study group, and I had a guest on. I had like a real bona fide expert, you know, on. So it was good. We were creating some really good content. And, some clever guy on Twitch was like, oh, the Tea Party is just a bunch of old white dudes. And I was like, hold on, Kathleen. I've got to stop what you're saying right now. We need to address this. This is the new Tea Party. This is what the Tea Party was always meant to be, not that. And then Kathleen ended up educating me on the status of the Tea Party, and it's kind of non-existent. She said it's been swallowed up by the Republican Party. So that's interesting.
Kind of what happens anytime a third party like starts. One of the other two just kind of like chomps it up.
Yeah.
I'll take you.
Yeah. My buddy Brock, he announced he's going to be running under a third party, and like now he's under the independent party, but I think he's going to define it even further. He says that would be all released prior to the election. But I think he's doing pretty good. I think he's got himself almost to every single ballot that he could have as of July 4th. He's been working hard on that. Kanye has not been having good luck with that. I don't think he's gotten himself on a single ballot yet.
I thought Kanye was going to run on the Republican ticket.
What? It's impossible. The Republican, they can only have one runner.
Right. So they've lost that. But it's funny because Kanye 2020 was a thing back in like 2014.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he lost track of time, and then come July 1st, 2020, he's like, oh shit, yeah, I was supposed to run for president. Let's go to Twitter and tell
I mean,
him.
it also could be that he just doesn't want to run against Donald Trump because he loves Donald Trump so much.
Yeah, maybe.
He's like, oh, I don't need to run for president. We got Donald doing it. What time is it? I don't have.
It is
I'm not supposed to-
3:23. It's obviously before 3:30 because my camera hasn't died yet.
Oh, your camera dies at 3:30?
It dies at an hour and a half. That's about the average time my battery lasts.
Oh,
Yeah.
on your Canon?
Yeah.
You don't have a AC adapter?
I don't. I should get one, yeah?
Yeah,
Really, I just plug it into the wall and I never have to worry about it dying?
that's what I do.
Did you have to get a special battery for that, or is there like a plug-in directly to the camera?
It's a battery.
Oh, it's a special
That-
battery. Okay.
It's like $15. It's a battery with a cable running out of it.
Oh shoot.
So
Okay.
it goes into the battery compartment,
Yeah.
and it doesn't store anything. It doesn't store power, so it's not like it's not a battery, but it's an AC adapter that where the interface is the shape of the battery.
I see. Cool. I'm gonna get one, and then that won't be an issue ever again.
Yep.
I've already had to invest so much into this project. I had to buy a 15-foot, cable so that,
Yep.
and then moving my internet in here. Now next I need the audio. I got a boom mic. My brother was telling me that I can actually set up my boom mic up. I don't know where I'd set it up. Maybe up there on the ceiling. And then I just need to have a plug to my computer. And that he says that costs
Yeah.
like $50 or
I
something.
use a lav mic with like that just clips onto my shirt,
And I can speak all sexy like this.
Oh,
If
wow.
I go right into the microphone.
Oh, so you have like a lapel mic?
like a little one of these
And
guys.
then does it plug directly into the computer, or did you have to get a...
No, it goes directly into the computer.
So I have a lapel mic, but the plug-in is like, because it's meant to plug into like one of those like receivers, so it
Oh.
has like a screw
So
on
it's
it.
it's the 1/4 inch. Is it a 1/4 inch plug?
I think so.
Like the side, like it looks more like a guitar cable end
No.
than a.
No, it looks like
Or is
a just headphones plugging in, but it's got like a screw or a bolt on it so that you can screw it into that receiver.
Interesting. But obviously, it doesn't work in your computer.
I
this
tried
is-
plugging it in. It doesn't plug all the way in because of that screw. So I'm like, maybe if I take that screw off, then then it'll plug in, and then I can have my lapel mic, and that'd be great.
Yeah, and like for me, it's more that I have to remember that the microphone is right here, and I don't actually need to speak that loud in order for you to hear me.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I have a tendency to still talk to the microphone on the other side of the room. And it's like, I don't have to do that. But this was like another just like $20 mic that it's also nice. It's got a little on-off switch in the cord,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have to mute myself on the computer anymore. I can literally just like flip the switch and turn off my mic.
Where'd you get that? You got that online?
Yeah, Amazon.
All right, I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah, and I did the good old Amazon thing where I bought like 4 of them and chose the one that I liked and then returned the rest.
Oh shoot! You got them all from the same vendor?
What?
Did you get them all from the same vendor?
No. Like I bought all the ones that were between $20 and $35. I bought like 4 of them that were between 20 and 35. And I'm like,
And
cool.
then you tried all of them and were able to return all of them, or the 3 that
Yeah.
you didn't want?
Yeah, make sure they say free returns on them.
Okay.
Assuming you have Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah, I don't. Cool. Well, if you can just let me know the one that you ended up liking.
Yeah, and it's great. It's got like it's got probably a 15-foot cord.
Oh, sweet. Oh, awesome. So if I wanted to, I can.
Yeah, I mean, like it gets tangled up, and like even though I have it all, yeah. But yeah, between I got the tripod, I got the lapel mic, and the power adapter for the camera, and it like made a huge difference.
Yep. Cool. I still haven't figured out, how to plug the direct, utility, the US utility into here. I'm actually doing like a screen capture of the live view.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So you can see my mouse. It's a screen. This is a screen capture.
I see.
Mm-hmm. I'm not plugging the camera view directly into here because when I went from my Windows computer, it worked, but then my Windows computer was too slow, and so it was like laggy the video. So then I have my iMac now, but
yeah, but the driver is not on Mac.
no, yeah. So I'm just using the EOS utility, using the live view, and then I'm using a product called CamTwist to screenshot this camera view, this live view here.
Interesting.
It's like layers on layers of.
Yeah, well, and you might be losing the additional quality that you're getting from using the DSLR in that.
I am, but then at the same time, it's like when you're streaming, you're not going to be able to capture that quality anyway on your bit rate. You have to reduce your bit rate to make it.
You should be able to. Like I'm pretty sure that I could stream at 1080p.
You can stream at 1080, but it's the quality. Some of the quality still is lost. But,
Okay.
But this is fine for me. This is acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make it better and better.
When your brother probably knows if there's anything better you could be doing.
Yeah, he's been helping me a lot with this. Jeremy, how's the week been in town since all the students have come back to town?
You wouldn't know they're back. It is so weird. You have to thousands of students in Terre Haute, and you just don't see them. But yeah, they definitely need a better place to hang out. So maybe I'll have to find an inn somewhere.
Yeah, and he probably will.
I know that there was that coffee shop that closed just off, but I think it got bought up. I gotta find out what actually happened to it.
Yeah. If you can find something that's turnkey, that would be best.
Because it was so bizarre because the restaurant attached to it is fine. They stayed open.
Uh-huh.
and they're pretty active right now, but the coffee shops seem to close down. I'm shocked. It was the strangest coffee shop. It was a tiny little thing, very cool setup, but it closed at 6 p.m. every day, even during school.
Wow.
So, your market for college kids. Well, I don't know what college kids are like nowadays. When I was an undergrad, the sweet spot was like 10 to 2. Like about at least 8 to midnight, but usually it's like 10 to 2 in the morning when everyone seemed to show up. But this is a place, 6 p.m. it closed every day, and it seemed to lose a massive market because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a really awkward time to close. It's like
Uh-huh.
way past afternoon, but not but like they should either if they only want to close after the afternoon, it seems like they're open too late. And if they
Yeah.
want to catch anything in the evening, then they're closing way too early.
Yeah.
Like 6 just seems like a bad time to close.
Was it really a hangout, or was it just like a place to get coffee?
It was a hangout during the day, but it was a very niche hangout. Like I knew a lot of people that just they were there almost every day, but it was a lunchtime place,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was like 10 to noon was pretty much their busiest time. Did I break out?
A
No.
little bit, but you're okay.
Oh, it's because the video was up on this. I gotta upgrade.
Do they
This is
have
just
faster internet in Terre Haute?
internet's fine. It's just this wonky little laptop that I've been using. I just need a better setup. I need to get my desktop set up to do something a little better. Well, more reliable at least.
So if you get a DSLR camera and a lavalier microphone, and make sure you get the power adapter for the DSLR camera, and then you got to run on the Windows machine.
Do it.
Or you could just get an iPad.
Oh, no, I refuse. I was an Apple guy for a while until I got screwed, and I vowed never to go back.
How did you get screwed?
Because they upgraded the operating system so fast, they forced you to keep buying products.
Yeah.
And like I bought a laptop. This is a long time ago, but remember the iPod Nano video when that came out?
That was huge. Yeah. Or, I mean,
It
that was
was-
small. I mean.
I was amazing. I was just mesmerized by that. And I just got like this Apple computer and like, all right, so I go buy it and I found out I can't use it with my computer. So the computer was 1.5 years old and they made 2 operating system upgrades in that time, which means that the iPod Nano couldn't be used in basically what was considered a legacy Apple laptop at that point.
Oh, that's terrible.
So either I had to spend hundreds to upgrade the operating system or buy another computer. And then it's like, oh, if this is how this, and then I bought a computer that was a Windows XP and they're using stuff, from, that was compatible with everything. But it was like, it's like this company, it's like, I just can't, they keep forcing you to upgrade like every few years. And none of the products you could upgrade on your own. There's no swappable, internals on any of their systems. So I gave up. Actually, I gave up when I went to Linux. And I was a Linux guy for a long time.
There you go.
Until it just wasn't running the programs that I wanted it to. So I circled all the way back to Windows. So I had to, and I'm using this Chromebook laptop, which is great. it's just there's no power to this at all.
It was $150.
Actually, I think it was a 180.
Oh wow, that sounds like my laptop.
I know, man. I really splurged on this.
Hey, how's that apple fritter treating you?
Oh, it's so good. You want some? Oh, sorry, I can't. You know, it just feels so real that we're really sitting with each other.
I do. There. Ah.
Ooh. That's definitely HD. Got the dog excited, that's for sure.
Yeah. What?
She's like, "Are we getting apple fritters now?"
Yeah, we're getting apple fritters. This is going to give us an apple fritter through the computer.
Oh man. So cooler weather is coming. That's exciting. Damn, your dog's getting to your mic.
Oh, yeah. And now there's dog hair in my tea. That's the only thing that I mix my tea with most days is just dog hair.
Yeah, we're still pretty hot here, but I feel it like it's getting cooler. Like at nighttime, it's starting to get a little cooler.
Yeah. My parents were in Vegas last week,
Oh yeah, what were they doing here?
celebrating their anniversary, hanging out at South Point.
Oh, okay.
They said they're doing a great job
Oh, with the COVID.
with COVID precautions.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still staying away from those places. It's such a big debate here, you know, because then all the bars are closed. The bar owners are pissed, and the bartenders in town, because they're like, hey, how are you going to have these casinos open with thousands of people? You know, maybe they're safe. Why can't our bars be safe too?
Yeah.
But
They said all the bars in the casinos are closed.
yeah. I
And
heard
they have,
COVID doesn't
like half
bars.
of the slot machines turned off.
Yeah.
That like every other machine is turned off and the chairs removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a funny thing. Some report came out, they're all down 35% in revenue, even with being open. It makes sense.
Oh. No, COVID has done a number on my parents' entertainment choices. That they like going to Vegas and they like going on cruises. And neither of those things are happening. Well, they just went to Vegas for the first time in a while, and they're definitely not going on cruises anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely not getting on a cruise ship anytime soon.
Yeah. I want to get on a sailboat.
That'd be fun.
Just get on the sailboat and go.
Just go, you know? Like, I mean, obviously I'd have captain or, you know, someone there that... Not at that point yet.
That would be great. Where are you going? Well, I'm pointing the boat west and going. That's
Worked okay for Columbus,
Yep.
and that was a sailboat.
A big sailboat. I want one of those. That's the kind of sailboat, you know, that has like a storage, you know, whatever that's called. I can just like throw bags of tea in there, bags of whatever I want to take, you know, and just sail around. I was reading the T2030 report. I think I've told you guys about it. Forum for the Future has this interesting report about sustainability of the tea industry, and there's all of these like visualizations of different scenarios that could possibly happen by 2013 and what they would look like, and it's going to be some mix of these different scenarios. And one of them, the only positive one that actually involves growing tea for drinking tea, is it has a step in there, 2021. So this report was written in 2015, so it's from the past. And they predicted that in 2021, we would have our first modern sailing ship moving tea around the world. I thought it was like really weird. I'm like, that's a really weird, prediction to make by 2021. But it's cool, and I want to help make sure that prediction manifests. And Mathelda and Bradley were watching when I said that, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. So, it may happen, just put together a little Columbus ship and sail around the world and collect tea and make history.
I'd be down.
Right?
Yeah, would we be making history or reenacting history? Because I think it already happened once.
Yeah, but this is modern. A modern sail ship. And that was
It
very
wasn't
very
modern
specific in that scenario. It said modern sail ship. So, I'd imagine it'd be like one that has actual like rooms and beds and not like
I'd actually be more interested if it was. I'd be more interested if it was very much the Columbus style, Magellan style. No, actually, the best thing is the clipper ships.
yeah.
One of the coolest things in tea history were the clipper races.
Yep.
And was it 1840s, 50s, somewhere around there? Yes, the clipper races. That's what you want. You need to bring that back.
Yeah.
What were the clip? I don't know anything about that.
Do you know what clipper ship?
No.
It's basically it's like a streamlined ship. Their streamlined ship with about 3 times the amount of sails. It was developed for pure speed, and the clipper races were who can get tea fastest from China to England. No, I can't remember which Chinese city. I think it was Canton to London. And a lot of the races, and the most famous race was shockingly close, like within hours of each other.
Wow.
Because in one race, one ship arrived early first, but they didn't win because the tugboat was too slow and the tide was all wrong. So the ship that came in second beat them to port. And that was like an hour and a half, I think, apart. But of course, steamboat shows up, clipper boats, antiquated. But they were actually the tea races.
Mm.
I'm into it.
Yeah, see, there are parts of tea history which are bloody and horrifying, and there are parts that are fun and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But about the same time the Opium Wars were being fought, the clipper ships were being raced around the world. Maybe that's mouse. Maybe the chi was being balanced at that time.
Yeah. That's T's job.
There had to be some good counteracting the bad, and it was found in the clipper ships.
I think we'd have to modify it, like the Viking style ships that had like the area below where people could row. I think if we throw some little, sweat effort into it, maybe we could be even faster, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then get some exercise while we're sailing around the world.
It'll be fantastic. It'll be the greatest theanine study of all time. Theanine study. So we'll have you row for a day with water, row for a day on matcha, and calculate the speeds.
We arrived to the destination and they open up the storage container and it's empty and they're like, "What the hell happened?" It's like, "We got here fast, didn't we? We drank all the tea."
The tea becomes the gas tank. Now, if we're gonna go with that design of ship, though, what do you put on? What's the sculpture that you put on the front?
Maybe like a tea fairy, something, or a tea pet. Maybe a pee boy.
Some sort of tea pet. You put P-boy out on the front.
Yeah. Yeah, really big pee boy. And it can serve as a cannon too, because you know pirates are a real thing out there. So. Everybody's gonna be scared of a pee boy shooting cannons.
Oh man! Pirates show up, you just pull out some tea and make tea, drink tea with them.
Yeah.
I think they would actually be terrified because it's so unusual. Oh, I think absolutely would be, would be considered more of a threat to people because it feels like a trap.
Oh, like a 5-hour tea drinking session where we all become friends and open up to each other and.
I have this idea that it feels reasonably. It feels reasonable that bringing tea service into corporate negotiation and mediation and any of these big conversations where billions of dollars are moving. And it's I don't need to be involved in the conversation. I'm just gonna sit at the table and make sure everybody drinks their tea.
Yep.
And we're gonna start with a tea ceremony, and see if it has a meaningful effect on the way that those conversations happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure in Chinese culture that's probably a thing. That a lot of those conversations happen over a tea table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of them.
And it's how do we market? How do you market those services?
To corporate America.
Yeah, to bring.
Honestly, the only way you can market anything to corporate America is that if you drink our tea, you will make more money.
By drinking our tea, your company will sell for more.
There you go. You'll be extra focused. Nothing will get by you.
There is a legitimate business model there, really. Of using that language in a more graceful way than just drink the tea and make more money. But businesses right now are seeking out team building, collaborative capacity building activities, and a lot of times they are seeking that out from more holistic practitioners. I have a friend that he's got a consulting company. He does speaking engagements with executive teams, teaching them. He's like a neuroscientist. And he's teaching them different meditation practices and different things that teams can do together to elevate their consciousness together and put themselves in the ideal manifestation state, which is tea. It's the same thing as tea: mental focus, body relaxation. And yeah, he gets paid to travel all over the world and do these sessions. And I've told him, I'm like, dude, you should sell tea with your stuff. And, that could be a continuous thing that you can sell to them. You sell them the whole Gung Fu set, and then every month they have to re-up their tea. You're constantly, initiating that practice for them, which is in harmony with the rest of your consulting work of, having breath practices for them or, different icebreaker activities or something when you could just fucking sit around and drink tea. It's simple. But it's hard to get in, and you definitely would have to package your service or your value beyond just the tea. It would have to be a whole package around a holistic practice to optimize collaborative capacity.
So I wonder,
be part of it.
We contact M&A firms that are already doing this, and it's hey, here's an interesting service that you could add to transaction that you could add to your services of like managing acquisitions of companies acquiring each other.
Mhm.
You guys already do this. Here's a different. It'd be an interesting service. And
It
it's
is very
like,
interesting.
even if you're not going to sell for more money or anything like that, it's going to be a smoother, easier process. Interesting.
I think they would immediately lost interest the moment you said you might sell for less.
Right.
But
It's
it'll be,
not going to make you sell for more. It's just going to make your sale easier.
yeah. You'll have, I guess, less hostile employees when they found out they lost their job.
Right. Well, because when
There you go.
when you're firing everybody, we'll do it over tea.
Yeah, exactly. How to put the person being fired into the right state of mind. They have a lovely tea, service for about an hour and a half, and then, oh yeah, incidentally,
Yeah, clean out your desk.
here's your buyout package. Bye bye. Here, and take this Sky one with you.
Oh, that's a good upsell.
So there you go. So maybe it's to ease the pain of being fired rather than bring people together.
And wait, how does this benefit the company? So they don't have postal ex-employees coming back, or
I guess.
why do they care?
I don't know, unless it's a company that has a history of very vindictive employees.
Like the Postal Service.
Yeah, all you have to do is just, coax them into a calm state of mind and then say, like, okay, just sign this.
Well, then it's their idea. They're quitting.
Yeah,
We
but
sell them on the tea lifestyle of going and becoming a monk, and they no longer need this job or any of their material wealth. And companies that don't want to fire everybody will come in and convince them to quit.
I think it's more like you just need to get them to a state of mind where they sign an NDA without knowing it. All right, now you're fired.
We weren't drugging them. We promise. It was just tea.
Exactly. And a little pinch of kava.
Just to numb the pain a little bit.
It was all natural.
And sustainable.
Ooh, that's it. That's the selling point right there. Once you get them there, guaranteed sustainability.
Well, my camera's almost lasting 2 hours. My battery. Amazing.
I think I actually have to get to work.
Yeah, what are you working on, Sam?
Some accounting stuff for some financial consulting work that I've been doing, and I have run into a business transaction that I've never accounted for, and I'm not quite sure how to do it. So
See, this is where you need to live stream this on Twitch
Yeah.
with and basically it with a header that just says "Watch Sam figure it out." You have no idea. It could take 5 minutes. It could take 5 hours.
really,
What
what would actually happen is I would have people joining telling me how to do it, and nobody would be telling me the right answer.
It'd be cool though. You could promote tea the entire freaking time.
We're gonna crowdsource my job today.
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Have the channel help Sam figure it out.
What are we figuring out today?
All right, guys. Well,
No.
it's been nice chatting. Always
It's been
fun.
great.
Always fun to tea with y'all.
Thank you for the consistency and love and support. Y'all are awesome.
Mhm.
Next week, same time,
Next week on Serious Business, more serious business.
more serious business.
Yes, I'll hunt down some googly eyes.
Yeah, and some T-hose. We still need
Oh, that's right. I forgot to lock down the T-hose. That was supposed to be done by now.
I know.
Not
Come
locked
on,
down, lock 'em
Jeremy.
Lock. Yes.
Oh.
99 T-hose and 1 T-stud. I think that should be the selling point.
There's Jeremy's OnlyFans.
That's it.
All right, dudes. Well, have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week.
All right, ciao, ciao.
You